All right. Welcome to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, guys. Definitely miss y'all. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend. I had a pretty eventful weekend. Obviously, graduated. Thank God. All y'all, college graduates out there can definitely feel, what I'm kind of, going through. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice not to have to worry about school anymore and kind of balancing school, full-time, school, job, husband, father, working this awesome internship, 100%. But maybe if you guys are in high school and you're like, hey Eric, I'm dealing with some high school drama too. There was this, rumor going around. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna get into all that. I'm not gonna get into all that. That's not what this is all about. This is the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, the best wrestling podcast in the world. Well, enough gilding the lily. And let's go ahead and get on into it. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you lined up today. We're going to talk about our WWE Smackdown review. We're also going to talk about our WWE Monday Night Raw preview that's going on right now. Can't wait to watch it. Gonna give you guys some live feeds on YouTube. It's gonna be super dope. Check them out. Like, comment, subscribe. Superman punch it all. So make sure you do that. And furthermore, we're gonna talk about how the WWE PLEs, thanks to TKO and president of the UFC board, Dana White, has deemed, WWE's going back to Sundays. And I don't think it's completely that bad, but like I said, we'll get on into it. And I think it's only during the UFC fight night weekends. So I think there might be a little wiggle room in there, but we'll get into it a little more. Fourth segment, we're going to talk about this newly segment I introduced. It's called Memorial Monday. We're going to get into the legacy, the life, the career of one of a wrestler that's passed. Today we're going to talk about Owen Hart of the Hart Foundation. Obviously, rest in peace, my man. So we're going to do our best to kind of honor him. So and then we're going to end it all off with our wrestling power rankings. I'm going to give the top 10 wrestlers from WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, NW, all of it. All the wrestlers are going to, one top 10. Obviously, this list is completely and utterly it's objective to a point, but it's also you know what I mean? As a host, as a content creator, you're it's hard to kind of not put your opinions and stuff like that. And by all means, I think you guys will ultimately agree with this list. Obviously, if you guys have any any feedback or any hey, dude, Eric, what are you smoking? What you smoking, no, Joe? By all means, go ahead and give it a round. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Today we're going to focus on the power rankings for the men's. Tomorrow we will talk about the power rankings for the women's division. So well, before we jump into any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. We want to hear from you. As a podcast, definitely, any podcast, we love a little bit of interaction from the WWE universe, just the professional wrestling, or if you're a sports fan, if you stumbled upon this podcast, and if you're if you're clicking that, no, I don't want to, I don't want to watch this guy anymore, dude, stay tuned, give it a shot. You may never know. So, we get a number of questions from viewers like you, so don't be afraid to hit them up.
Don't be afraid to tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want me to like further elaborate on more. Or if you just want to start up a wrestling conversation, definitely tell me where you're from. Be like, hey, yo, this is Augustine, checking in from Indonesia or something like that. Hey, like hell, like just anything, absolutely anything. Like you can hit up the chat, talk about good old fashioned wrestling. So, to ensure your question gets read on air, I ask you guys once again to use the tips and donations link at the GSMC podcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions up on top so I can see it, so we can talk about it. It really helps the show, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we love peace, love, and positivity, 100%. And yeah, once again, the link is the GSMC podcast.net. So let's go ahead and get on into our first segment. We're going to talk about our WWE Smackdown review. It was really good. Honestly, kind of counting down the days toward Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And so far I haven't really had any problems with the way WWE has kind of had their matches, their promos and stuff like that, because I think they've done really, really well. And definitely love the fact that Paul Levesque is definitely pushing a lot more young talent. You can see it in the King of the Ring tournament. You can see it in Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that. So let's get on into it. So we had WWE SmackDown. We started off with Bianca Belair versus Tiffany Stratton. And of course, the heel Tiffany Stratton had to start off with the rake in the eyes classic, but it's smart. And I don't know. The whole time, Tiffany Stratton was trying to find a way to kind of like not cheat her way to win, but kind of like find a way to ultimately get the upper advantage by doing things that weren't, legal. That's cheating, guys. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to justify. It's like I'm a lawyer or something. It's like, if I was a lawyer, man, that'd be awesome. No, I'm just kidding. I would fold in like 3 seconds. I'm not good with confrontation. I'm not good with, be like, hey, like you're lying. I'd be like, yes, I was. I'm just kidding. No, start bawling my eyes out. I'm just kidding. No, maybe. But yeah, no. And Bianca, obviously, with the KOD for the win. Honestly, I like Bianca kind of moving on here. I think Tiffany Stratton is she's a young up and coming talent, definitely. But obviously after what has happened, like that surfaced on social media about her remarks and stuff like that due to her social media post, I don't think this is going to stop her momentum a little bit. I do think that maybe Paul Levesque is kind of like, all right, maybe we need to take Tiffany off of the spotlight for a little bit, kind of let it fizzle out, kind of let her, because recently she did have a title shot with Bayley in a triple threat match, and she was in this Queen of the Ring tournament. And honestly, I think maybe if those social media posts never really surfaced, perhaps maybe she would have got the win from Bianca Belair. Because, like we're gonna talk about later on in the show, you saw Jade getting eliminated by Nia Jax. But I don't know. It was interesting to see where WWE was going to take that before all this, negative publicity and turmoil, surfaced in the professional wrestling world. So definitely something kind of, something crazy. And after the match, Bianca was greeted, and she was interviewed, and she just basically kind of gave away the reason why she's going to lose her next match, which is cool and all. I like that, but she started off. She's like, "I'm not gonna lie, my knee isn't at 100%." Dude, that's a loser talk. That's loser talk. I'm just kidding. No, no, you're not a loser, Bianca Belair. You're by far a winner. So, but I didn't like how Bianca said that. But once again, it could be set in like a promo and stuff like that. Obviously, we're gonna find out. Well, you already know who she's gonna fight. She's gonna fight Nia Jax, and we'll get more into that a little later. But yeah, then you saw a promo with Jade and Belair where you kind of saw you kind of saw them interviewing Jade, and Bianca was like, yeah, like we're gonna do this, we got this. And Jade would kind of looked at her, she's like, yeah, we're tag team champions, but if I get a chance at singles competition gold or singles competition glory or the Queen of the Ring win, I'm gonna take that, girl. Like, already kind of creating this up like this subconscious like intensity between the two. Like, obviously it's good, the competition's good, even competition good, among teammates and stuff like that, ultimately brings the best out of you. So I don't know if that's the kind of promo that maybe Paul Levesque was trying to hit at, but I was just getting vibes that I don't think this tag team is gonna last. Jade Cargill, huge ego. Bianca Belair, probably one of the biggest egos in the women's division that I've, seen in possibly the longest time. And that's not a knock on any of them. Absolutely 100%. The fact that they became WWE Women's World Tag Team Champions, this and which I completely kind of, disagreed with. I hated it. Absolutely tainted the women's tag team division. You put two top single stars together in a tag team. For my opinion, honestly, the best way for them to lose the title is for them to fight. Kind of get into it, kind of creating that, and we're getting to we're going to talk about them later on. Kind of like that Owen Hart and Bret Hart, like two brothers, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, portraying as like maybe perhaps like two sisters and stuff like that. But ultimately, like it creates better content when two single stars are doing what they do best, singles competition. Not like into diving their feet in the tag team division just because they want the brand to kind of like the brand to kind of have the world tag team division for the women's kind of like skyrocket or just seem like bigger than it actually is, because you don't have to do much, because the women's tag team division is absolutely on fire already. Definitely 100%. That's something that, if you haven't seen that as a wrestling fan, definitely open your eyes, take a look. And you will agree with me that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill holding these titles is ultimately bad for the women's tag team division. And I'm going to say it. I'll probably get a lot of scrutiny, a lot of hate, but to be honest, I think it's terrible. But that's just me. So, it was kind of cool to kind of see that promo. It was great to kind of see that subconscious intensity, that maybe that sense of like that aroma of like jealousy or something like that. So, definitely excited to see that. Still the bloodline creating, bloodline drama still plaguing the, WWE Smackdown, and still Paul Heyman has not spoke to Roman Reigns, and it's pretty crazy. And Solo Sikoa still claims that Roman Reigns puts him in charge of the bloodline. We don't know who's telling the truth here. We honestly, and I kind of like the way that WWE's kind of doing it, kind of surfacing perhaps a problem that could be foregone in the future, where Solo Sikoa doing his thing, running the young bloodline, and then he gets caught off with the kind of got caught off with the Roman Reigns kind of thing. I don't know. This kind of reminds me of like if any of you guys ever watch like basically any movie, including a monarchy with a king and a prince. When the king is gone or he's ill or he went off to fight battle, you usually have the young egotistical prince putting his fingerprints everywhere, treating everybody like crap, kind of like trying to run the show here, And the moment, the emperor, the king, the chancellor, whatever monarchy, comes back, and the whole time the prince was like, "Oh, I was doing it on your behalf," and oh, I thought, and then it was like, "Dude, didn't you speak to the king? And didn't you say this, the king?" It's kind of like an effed up game of like telephone. Like you don't know who's talking on the other line. And honestly, I doubt Roman Reigns would ever put anybody in charge of the bloodline except for himself. But what if he did? What if he did? What if he called up Solo and he was like, "Hey man, Solo, I'm gonna need you to take out Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. I'm gonna need you guys to be completely rampant." Like, which I doubt, because I feel like Roman Reigns was kind of more like he was kind of like he was mouthy. He was very mouthy, but he was more or less kind of like a quiet, like mellow. Like when you had the promos going on with The Rock and Cody Rhodes, there was a point where at least me, speaking on my perspective, that I was like, wait a minute. Cody's fighting Roman for the championship at WrestleMania night 2. Not really. You're like, whoa, whoa. Like for me, I knew that was kind of like a gimme, kind of like just like a taste test to see what WrestleMania is going to, WrestleMania 41 has in store at the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas. So let's go, let's go on and move on. So Solo Sikoa says he's in charge of the bloodline, and he says all the time, the whole time, wise man, you have to be my wise man. And Paul Heyman a bit reluctant. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. And you saw Toma Tonga versus LA Knight. And once again, the bloodline pays dividends. They're constantly out there. They're constantly helping whoever's wearing that tribal chief, banner. But I don't know. I just hate it that they constantly get involved. But that's the bloodline. That's the reason why people, hate them. Obviously, if you have me talking on a wrestling talk show, podcast about it, you're kind of doing your job well. So, definitely expect more of that from the Bloodline. That's what the Bloodline does well. They piss off and they get the fans' blood boiling, like they're cheating. Cheaters, you're a phony. But it should be interesting to find out when Jacob Fatu makes his debut. I don't know if it's going to be in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I think the debut is mostly for uh, Uncle Howdy at that point. Doubt Clash at the Castle. Doubt Clash at the Castle. But although I think that was when Solo made his debut. I think that's when Solo Sikoa made his debut to screw over Drew McIntyre. I could be wrong. No, I think he debuted to screw over Cody at WrestleMania. I think that might be the case. Don't quote me on that. If anybody in the chat knows the real story, like hit me up. Tell me. Give me some knowledge. Don't let me stand up here and babble on and on like an idiot. Just kidding. So LA Knight is gone, which kind of, I kind of thought he was going to be. Uh, him and Jake Paul, no, Logan Paul, had a confrontation, had a face-to-face moment in the back of the locker room, and I ultimately think that's going to be the next SummerSlam match. So I bet you they're going to start building up, start, trying to get that totem pole of momentum going. So you see the megastar, against the YouTube star, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I don't know who's going to win out of that one, so it should be awesome. Toma Tonga moves on. Next, you saw the contract signing. You saw, Nick Aldis as the mediator. Indeed, you saw champion versus champion. Logan Paul ripped up the contract at first because he said it's not champion versus champion, and that was kind of what kind of baited Cody Rhodes into this match because he's never won the United States Championship. He wants to become a Grand Slam champion. That's an accolade that's eluded his career throughout his tenure in WWE. But I think it was smart. I think it was smart by Logan Paul just to get him in the ring because Cody Rhodes could have been like, for my title, like, why do I gotta say yes? Like, but he was he was pissing him off. He threw the contract at him, just absolutely egging on Cody Rhodes, which was great. Which was great for Logan Paul. I feel like there's something that, although people might hate Logan Paul, he has done everything to he puts a lot of prestige on not the championship, of course, but more or less the fight within itself. He kind of takes the point. He kind of wants people to get angry. He wants to get in the head of Cody Rhodes. He wants to bait and switch, and he wants to cheat, steal, and stuff like that. But that, something great that Logan Paul does really, really well. And I dig it. I think it's super awesome. I think Logan Paul is going to be a top star, but this champion versus champion, I knew it wasn't going to work out from the beginning, and ultimately that wasn't the case. Which I'm kind of happy that it's not, but it's going to be for Cody Rhodes' title. Kind of smart booking by Paul Levesque, putting like obviously people from Saudi Arabia know who Logan Paul are. Obviously people from Saudi Arabia know who Cody Rhodes is, the American Nightmare, and you're going to have one big, like huge main event. And right now, honestly, everyone that could have potentially fought Cody Rhodes for the championship in Saudi Arabia, I honestly don't think that anybody could fill that role besides Logan Paul. So, the fact that they kind of did this, it seemed like it was wrong from the beginning. The moment he came out, he challenged Nick Aldis, said, "Your next challenger is," and he's like, "Ah." Like even myself, I was like, dude, this is stupid. This is dumb. You just basically erased another big match that Logan Paul could have had against, like, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, LA Knight, or pick your choice of whoever's going to fight for the United States Championship. But I like it. I like they kind of headed out. So yeah. So next we had Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill fought against Nia Jax. Nia Jax, she won by disqualification, ultimately like trying to embarrass her in front of her family. I thought it was good. I honestly thought it was good. Nia Jax kind of moving on there. Because Jade fighting Belair, you kind of had to have one of them lose. The moment I saw Belair won, I kind of knew that they were going to make Jade lose. But obviously, I'm not a mind reader, but I thought that would have been the best way to kind of go about it. So now you have the Irresistible Force against the EST of WWE. And like Bianca Belair says, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not at 100% with my knee. So I, heavily predict that Nia Jax will move on to the finals in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. All right, next you saw DIY in a tag team match. Real quick, we're running out of time here for our first segment against Legado del Fantasma. Once again, DIY, showing that they're a formidable tag team and they're building up momentum. I really honestly hope they're the ones to take down A-Town Down Under. I kind of hate the fact that they keep having Legado del Fantasma lose. I think for like any heels to kind of work in any division for the championship, Intercontinental, United States, WWE, whatever. You ultimately kind of need the bad guys to win a couple here and there, even if it takes them stealing one. So I think WWE should definitely start building that momentum toward Legado del Fantasma, because honestly, if you don't have them in the, I know right now you have heels as champions. Yeah, and I get that and stuff like that. But you have a whole bunch of baby faces. I think right now WWE in terms of baby face and heels, it's kind of offset. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Next, you saw Carmelo Hayes versus Randy Orton for the King of the Ring. King of the Ring not qualifying, semifinals. No, quarterfinals match going on to the semifinals. Love Carmelo Hayes. I love that the fact that he was able to kind of push Randy Orton to his limits. Obviously, Randy Orton's not at 100% as well. Foreshadowing his opponent Tama Tonga will probably, with the help of the bloodline, defeat Randy Orton. But Carmelo Hayes, this was one of those matches, like I keep, talking about in terms of wrestling and stuff like that. Like you lose, but ultimately you win. Carmelo Hayes, he was against the Viper, the Legend Killer, the guy who's been around in the business for I think 10, 15 plus years. Like this is Randy Orton we're talking about here. And he was able to, go blow for blow. He was able to go submission for submission. He was attack after attack, strike after strike. Carmelo Hayes was there. Definitely wish the best. And I really honestly hope, and I can see it, that Carmelo Hayes is going to get a huge push going toward WWE. So like I said, now we got Orton versus Tama Tonga. RKO already showing some heavy fatigue, perhaps foreshadowing what's going to happen next. So uh, definitely, it's going to be hard for Randy Orton. It's going to be hard for Randy Orton. Well, guys, don't go anywhere. Make sure you stay tuned for this WWE Monday Night Raw review. We're going to preview. I shouldn't say review. That was my bad. So we're going to get into that in just a moment. So, hey, don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on their fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your boy E here with all the cool wrestling factoids. Just to kind of remind you guys what we spoke about. Is that Star Trek? Spock? I'm just kidding. No. Anyways, I don't know if any of you guys out there are Trekkies or maybe Star Wars fans, or usually there's a huge discrepancy between a Star Wars fan and a Trekkie, and they kind of hate it. But despite the fact. I don't know why I can't talk today. It's so weird. Talking about Star Trek and Star Wars is getting my blood boil. So guys, just to remind you guys, we get a number of questions that come in from the show from viewers like you. So please remember to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. And just send me your questions. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Give me further information on stuff that maybe, I am only human and I do make mistakes. Partially, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not one of those people. Definitely one of my pet peeves is, people who think they're constantly right all the time when they're not. Sit back down. I'm just kidding. No, anyways, I'm just not enough yelling into my Eric. God, jeez. Jeepers creepers. So, like I said, to ensure your question gets read on air, I asked you guys to use the link at the gsmcpodcast.net. And it really helps the show, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we love peace, love, and positivity all the way. And again, the link is the GSMC podcast.net. So let's go ahead and jump right onto this. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw, going to be held at the Greensboro Coliseum tonight in North Carolina. And like I said before, building momentum up to Saudi Arabia on May 25th. And let's go ahead and jump right on into it. I know the last segment kind of took a little longer than usual, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work. That's what we do. We take lemons and we make beef stew. Just kidding. But okay, let's go ahead and start. So we have Gunther against Jey Uso for the King of the Ring quarterfinals match, going on to the semifinals, and the final is gonna be held. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, awesome. So you have Gunther against Jey Uso. Honestly, Gunther's a huge favorite. But after what happened on Friday Night Smackdown, I really honestly don't know a reason why. Even if, okay, let's just say Tama Tonga wins on next SmackDown. Definitely, whoever wins tonight is going to be a huge foreshadow of who's going to win on SmackDown. I think that WWE is pushing Jey Uso to the point where if he fought against Randy Orton, I think that would be pretty cool. But if you have Gunther move on, I would have loved to see Gunther move on if Ilya Dragunov was in the mix as well. But I don't see Gunther really having a place in this tournament. I know like he really hasn't won the King of the Ring, but he was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. Something about WWE and just professional wrestling in general, kind of something that I've analyzed this whole time as a wrestling fan. Wrestling organizations, they like balance. They love balance. I feel like right now it would create kind of an imbalance if Gunther wins, mostly because of his long reigning Intercontinental Championship run. Usually people go on runs and like, okay, cool. Now we're going to, now we're just going to, keep it base, keep him at bay, and eventually he'll get another shot. He'll get another shot. I still ultimately think that he will fight. He'll be in the next challenger for Cody Rhodes, although they are on different shows. So that, or, Damian Priest, although I would love to see a Finn Balor and Damian Priest, Judgment Day. You kind of like a Civil War match going toward WWE SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio. But I just don't see a reason why Gunther would win here. And Jey Uso, he didn't beat Damian Priest because of the Judgment Day. He's not going to get a title shot at the World Heavyweight Championship anytime soon. So the best thing probably for Jimmy's career and for the betterment of his place in terms of the organization, in terms of booking and storylines, and just kind of keeping that, unpredictability in terms of, the audience members, because that's something that that Triple H has done really, really well after Vince's departure, is keep the fans on their toes, 110%. So honestly, although Gunther is a heavy, heavy favorite, and if you're betting in Vegas and if they have WWE lines, Gunther was probably the New York Patriots of 2007. And of course you had the awesome New York Giants, who came out victorious. Yeah, Giants. I'm just kidding. No, I love the Giants. I love the Giants. So I don't know. I just see that Jey Uso would be better, storylines if he makes it forward. Because think about it, on the other side of the coin, if you have Tama Tonga win, then you kind of have this reignite, the bloodline. And you're going to have Paul Heyman like begging for Jey Uso to win. Begging. And then that could be a good way of perhaps causing Paul Heyman to be kicked out of the bloodline. Perhaps maybe him and Tama Tonga fight, the bloodline gets involved, and Paul Heyman does something to the referee or finds a way to kind of, maybe he gets Jimmy Uso to come back in the fray. We don't know. I don't know how injured Jimmy is right now, But if it's a possibility that Paul Heyman screws over Tama Tonga, pisses off Solo Sikoa, because honestly, at this point, Paul Heyman does not belong in the bloodline. He does not belong in the bloodline at all. He's going to find a way. He's going to find a way to kind of get Jey, because if you paid attention to any of the episodes that were kind of held during Roman Reigns' tenure as tribal chief, you could always like tell that, Jey was the right hand man. Paul Heyman saw a lot of potential inside Jey Uso. So the fact that perhaps maybe we can create like Tama Tonga fighting Jey Uso getting the King of the Ring victory, propelling his career for a future title shot. It would be big. It'd be big. That's kind of where I see this storyline kind of go. Honestly, if I was in the WWE creative office, this is kind of something that I would pitch to Paul Levesque, and because I think it's good. I think it's good. I think they're ultimately leading toward a bloodline civil war where Roman comes back and tells that Solo Sikoa is full of stuff, full of crap, and The Rock ultimately coming back, kind of backing Solo Sikoa on how the bloodline should be a little more ruthless, should be a little more aggressive. And Roman Reigns is like, no, dog, we're not all about that, dude. We're about respect here in the WWE. Like, and respect versus power. Like, kind of, if I had to say who's going to win this match, I could look like an idiot right now. Gunther could be holding, referees could be holding Gunther's hand up like that. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not watching Raw at all. I can't wait to watch it. But honestly, I think WWE needs to make this happen. And that's just me. So, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to talk about, on the other side, we have the Queen of the Ring tournament continuing. Wraps up tonight. We have Iyo Sky going one-on-one against Lyra Valkyria. Should be pretty interesting. Honestly, it would be kind of amazing for Lyra Valkyria to kind of move on here. But, now you kind of have Becky Lynch and Valkyria. Kind of like Lyra is the only defense against an attack that targets Becky Lynch. So, and Becky Lynch still does not. No, I think she's fighting Liv, right? I think she's fighting Liv Morgan in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. But honestly, I don't see any reason why they would push Lyra, so quick. But she is a talent. She's very gifted as a wrestler. I think you kind of need to give this win to Iyo Sky. But I don't know, it should be interesting. Obviously, Damage Control will probably pay dividends, and so you're gonna have whoever comes out of this against Nia Jax, because if they put Belair in the position, well, if they did put Belair, it'd be Iyo Sky and Bianca Belair, obviously Damage Control against the people who took the titles. That would be interesting. I guess if they would move on Bianca Belair in any of that fact on SmackDown, it would be to kind of reignite this, this rivalry between the, Damage Control and, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. So it should be interesting to kind of see what goes on with that. Next, we have Sami Zayn going on with Chad Gable tonight. Chad obviously slapped the crap out of Otis last Monday Night Raw. It's kind of sad. I got a little teary-eyed. I was like, dude, that's messed up, dude. He's your friend, dude. He's that lovable, like, giant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he has that, cute little, like, butterface. Like, and Otis was like, he wanted to get pissed off so bad. So bad. What I kind of see what's happening on tonight, I think Chad Gable will lose. I think he'll lose against Sami Zayn. And I think this is going to be... No, I don't think this is going to be the time when Otis quits Alpha Academy. Definitely don't think so. So honestly, out of this whole match, he's just going to keep building momentum toward this triple threat match. It's not going to surprise me if, if you see Bronson Reed come out during the final, they kind of have that, because it's this Saturday. This Saturday is going to be Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So, they got to build up all the momentum they can. Like I said, make sure you, keep track of Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan fighting more drama between, Carlito and Finn Balor, Damian Priest in terms of the Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio going to be put on blast of him recently kind of being with Liv Morgan. And that's something definitely to look forward to on WWE Monday Night Raw happening in North Carolina, Greensboro Coliseum. So definitely don't miss it. It's on right now, live on the USA Network. So guys, don't go anywhere. We're gonna jump into some content. We have WWE PLEs going to Sundays. So hey, stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick, our first segment, we talked about our WWE Friday Night Smackdown review. We talked about our Monday Night Raw preview. And we're going to get into right now, real quick, we're going to talk into WWE PLEs are going back to Sundays per UFC president and chairman Dana White. Dana White said that WWE PLEs will return to Sundays, of course, during the UFC weekend. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be like a full-time, kind of gig here, but I think maybe they're trying to test the waters. But ultimately, I feel like, I don't know, is it a good deal? Is it a good deal or a good idea? Remember, so, share some opinions, guys. Use the GSMC podcast.net with your opinions so we can talk about it. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Once again, the link is the GSMC podcast.net. So, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, like I said before, TKO brand is saying that WWE PLEs are returning because they've been on Sunday before. So it's not like it's been that crazy. The thing that's kind of being disputed is not the fact that WWE, dude, they've always been on Sunday. That's cool. But since Nick Khan signed with the WWE as a vice president, he kind of had the idea of WWE going to Saturdays, and it's been a hit. It's been a huge hit. A lot more viewers, a lot more merchandise sales, a lot more ticket sales, definitely. Who wants to go get drunk at a wrestling event when you have to go to sleep early to go to work Monday the next day? I'm just kidding. No. Real wrestling fans would do it. I would do it. I'd go to work hungover as crap. I'm just kidding. No. Anyways, moving on. Like I said, according to the UFC president, Dana White, he wants kind of like a power weekend in terms of combat sports that the TKO group has to offer. So you're going to see Friday night power slap, you're going to see Saturday night UFC, and you will see Sunday night WWE. And I get it 110%. It's good business. You don't want to compete with your competitors. Yeah, seems about right. I see where Dana White's head is at, definitely. But I kind of think at the same time, is the wrong show moving here? Is it right for WWE that's had so much success on Saturday? Because I'm going to go off and say that I think that they've at least doubled their income, their revenue, basically putting wrestling on Saturdays. And it's just something as simple as that tweak gets people to fall in love with WWE more. I don't know how willingly the WWE will kind of lay down in terms of this point. Maybe perhaps on UFC weekends on Saturdays, maybe the WWE Sunday PLEs can feature just like pay-per-views that are kind of like. But nowadays you don't really have pay-per-views that are kind of like knockoffs. Kind of like those pay-per-views where I don't really have to pay attention because, it's this and that and the other. But I don't know. It's interesting to kind of see where this kind of goes. So is the wrong show moving? WWE, like I said, on Saturday has had so much success. And that kind of makes me think you have Friday night power slap. What about SmackDown? What are you going to do about SmackDown? Do you want SmackDown to go to Thursdays again? SmackDown originally aired on Thursdays on UPN. I remember that's when I started watching SmackDown. I was like, "Oh, dude, I remember watching the first ever episode. Like it was dope. It was cool. They had that theme song. Like it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to have a secondary show because you saw Thursday Night Thunder from the WCW against Thursday Night SmackDown from WWF, now WWE. So it's gonna be interesting to kind of see the fact that they kind of keep that. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Definitely should be interesting. And what I've kind of, recently, researched that, and I've seen like, people take to social media about this, subject, and they're wondering Saturday why WWE's movie Saturdays, because Saturday is ultimately better for people watching the United Kingdom, Germany, and India. WWE, besides the United States, top three viewers. Top three viewers. And of course, you also have to think about on the East Coast, at an event starting at 5, pre-show 4 o'clock. The show's going to end like around 11 or 12 o'clock. A lot of people probably will be a little reluctant on watching WWE on a night where they have to get the kids ready for bed. They have to get them to school tomorrow. You have to go to work. You have to, showers. And I don't know. I do that. Like Sundays are kind of like the reset day. Everybody, we have a good dinner. Kids are, taking baths and stuff like that. We have like a family game night. We play, board game or whatever. And ultimately, that should be kind of. And now you're going to have wrestling on the TV where you're going to be paying attention to wrestling, and you'll be like, oh, no, no, no. For me, watching WrestleMania for 2 nights, I had to clear my schedule that weekend because I knew I wasn't going to be able to do crap. Like, I'd be like, dude, I want to pay attention to these matches. Like, I want to watch the matches. I don't want to just be like, oh, WrestleMania is playing in the background. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to go ahead and, wash dishes. Oh, yeah, of course I'll go and give you a bath right now. Like, come on, like, let's be real. Like, let's just be real. At the same time, parents, yes, you do have responsibilities to ultimately be a freaking parent. But sometimes you have WWE, and I feel like WWE has been like kind of like a huge influence on the viewers, influence on me. Definitely, like I watch WWE to kind of you assert yourself, you get rid of all the BS and all the drama in your life, and you kind of watch this drama that's unfolding in front of you. You're like, oh my god, like it's nice. Wrestling on Saturday nights has been a lot nicer than it was on Sundays. Now I'm gonna say it. That's my opinion, of course. Obviously, if all y'all have something different, hit up the GSMCpodcast.net link. Tell me how you feel. And that's just not the huge thing about it. I guess there's going to be rising ticket prices. UFC wants to package the shows for the viewers, so that just means, does UFC and WWE want to fight in the same city? Can UFC go international, or can UFC even go to other cities? More than half of the UFC events take place in the Nevada area, as mostly Las Vegas. So does that mean WWE is going to be featured in Las Vegas a little bit more? The best thing about WWE has been its ability to travel nationwide and globally. So that's something that WWE needs to take in consideration. That'd be like, oh yeah, I'm cool. It's only happening during UFC Saturday fight nights. That's not bad. That's not bad. I will take it. But you have to realize, like, our pay-per-views, our audience is more global than you guys. And, obviously the UFC, it is pretty popular, especially when they created that online streaming service with Fight Pass, kind of like the WWE Network. Absolute bomb. Great idea by Dana White. But still, WWE still remains. Definitely, they topple over the UFC, definitely. And a lot of reason why is that the UFC, yeah, they have their champions here and there, but you don't really kind of have that face. It's so easy to kind of have WWE to set up these superstars, kind of like the face of the organization, that these people that viewers fall in love with, as opposed to like UFC where injuries are more imminent. Um, there could be like different type, like for the longest time for me, UFC started popping off. You had BJ Penn, Forrest Griffin, Matt Hughes. You also saw Brock Lesnar, and now you kind of have household names like Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey, who eventually made it to WWE. You had Anderson Silva. Now you have Sean O'Malley. Like, these wrestlers, yeah, they're not as prominent, or they're not as popular than WWE, superstars, simply because, like, it's actual like combat MMA. Combat MMA, they thrive on the fact that a title could change within 2 weeks or a week. In WWE standards or a professional wrestling fan, you look at that and you're like, why have somebody fall in love with somebody and then you just take the title away? Like, that makes no sense. So definitely the star power in WWE definitely topples over the star power they have at the UFC. Definitely 100%. And WWE is still more popular than the UFC. Most fans of the WWE think that the MMA fighting is more cruel, is more violent. They have a violent nature, and it's a huge turnoff. And I agree to that 100%. Sometimes I'm watching UFC, and I actually went to my very first UFC like watch party. I went to my friend's house about 6 months ago, where Sean O'Malley won his belt, and I was like watching. I was like, like I don't know. It just wasn't as I don't know, wasn't as appealing to me. So, UFC fans constantly criticize WWE for being choreographed, and most WWE fans criticize UFC for being cruel and, definitely too much violence, too much blood. But sometimes people like that. Always there will be a permanent gap away from the two fan bases. So, why send WWE to Sundays? Keep them on Saturdays. It's a good business ethic to kind of keep the shows apart, but ultimately, like, what if you kind of dictate what people are watching on Saturday nights? You'd be like, yeah, we have UFC and WWE. We kind of have our two main money makers happening at the same time, going at it instead of splitting them apart. Where it'd be essentially kind of the same thing. I don't know if that makes too much sense. I don't know if I'm being, making too much sense right now. But like, if WWE fans don't like UFC and they watch WWE, do not even touch UFC, and then you have UFC fans that be like, oh, I would never go to WWE because choreographed. It's like stage acting. So then why even make this change? I don't know. I think it's kind of naive. Definitely don't like it from the WWE standpoint. Hopefully, like I said, I made my point kind of clear. But yeah, honestly, I don't see the point why WWE should move to Sundays. Just saying. Just saying. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to try to wrap this up real quick, running out of time rapidly. We're going to talk about our Memorial Monday. We're going to talk about my boy, my man for the Hart Foundation, Owen Hart. So, hey, don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about here. We talked about WWE Smackdown review. We talked about our Monday Night Raw preview. We also talked about how WWE PLEs are moving to Sundays during UFC Fight Night Saturdays. So let's go and move on with our next topic. We're going to talk about our Monday Night Memorial. So let's go ahead and dig right on into it. All right, here we go. So we're going to start with Owen Hart. Owen Hart is absolutely one of the most respected wrestlers in WWE history, wrestling wide. There's a couple of things that I did not know about. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning. His name is Owen James Hart. He was born May 7th, 1965 in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. He was a Canadian wrestler, definitely one of the most respected wrestlers in the world of WWF, professional wrestling industry, World Championship Wrestling, New Japan Professional. He's kind of been all over the place. Like I said before, he's worked with Stampede Wrestling, WCW, WWF, and New Japan Professional Wrestling. He was formerly known as the Blue Blazer. That was kind of his his name when ultimately he kind of had his passing. He was kind of like this superhero that said no, like trying to keep his identity intact. And I was like, no, I'm not Owen Hart. What are you talking about? I'm not Owen Hart. And then kind of like a Bruce Wayne kind of thing, that he would never, or Clark Kent, never ever reveal your status because you can create a lot more enemies. So definitely love Owen Hart for kind of being a little goofy, kind of in terms of that. He was, like I said, he was a member of the Hart Foundation. Jim the Advent Hart. You saw Bret Hart and him definitely rule over WWF for the longest time. Stampede Wrestling promoters, Stu and Helen Hart. Those were his, mother and father. He's a one-time USWA Unified World Champion, two-time WWF Intercontinental, one-time European Champion, also a four-time WWF Tag Team Champion. And he was also the 1994, King of the Ring. So that's what, 30 years? 30 years ago? So on May 23rd, 1999, WWF at WWF's Over the Edge event, we had equipment lowering him, malfunctioned, and he fell to his death live on pay-per-view in Kansas City. He had a great feud with his brother, Bret Hart, in the past. He ultimately felt like he was overshadowed by Bret Hart, which, I mean, kind of would be kind of hard to kind of have this going here because you have, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, in Bret Hart. It's so hard to kind of, maintain a balance with Bret Hart there. Definitely, kind of crazy. But Owen Hart definitely was a, great father, great wrestler, great person all around. I guess definitely one thing about him, which is kind of the reason why people respected Bret Hart a lot, was his ability to kind of take care of wrestlers inside of the ring. A lot of the times there's all the, wrestlers that botched moves that could ultimately cost you your whole entire career. But Owen Hart wasn't one of those wrestlers. He cared about his coworkers. He cared about the well-being for them, for, in terms of like their professional careers, their families, and just their overall physical health or, mental health and that, because wrestling's a grind. These guys travel year round. These guys don't get an off season like baseball. They don't get an off season like football, basketball, hockey, you name it. These guys wrestle constantly worldwide, all around the clock. So, definitely got to respect Owen Hart in that, in that phase. You had Owen Hart was fed up with Bret Hart because of the incident that happened in a tag team match in Survivor Series where they bumped into each other, causing the loss. The moment the two kind of smoothed things over, where Bret Hart got them, a couple of tag team championship title shots, Bret hurt his knee in one of the matchups and was unable to compete. Owen Hart absolutely snapped, kicked Bret Hart's knee, absolutely antagonized the whole situation, creating this new kind of heel and just like mocking his injury and stuff like that. Like kind of just playing to it absolute T. Owen Hart could really do it all. He's definitely one of the best wrestlers to kind of do it as a heel and as a babyface. So I thought that was super cool. Like I said, the two fought at WrestleMania 10 when Owen Hart won. Later, Bret Hart, of course, had to overshadow Owen Hart again and beat Yokozuna at WrestleMania 10, where everybody came out, lifted Bret on their shoulders, like, yeah, my man, you did it. And Owen Hart kind of stood where Bret Hart wanted to welcome Owen Hart into the ring, but Owen Hart kind of looked at him and he was like, you son of a biscuit. You're doing this again. This is why I hate you. This is why do you got to do it? Like, I don't know. And it was pretty cool the kind of way they kind of got that going. And the two they fought back and forth, multiple pay-per-views. Owen cost Bret Hart the championship time and time again. And I don't know. It kind of got me to think about maybe this Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio kind of feel. Of course, before Dominic Mysterio got injured. I think I talked about this our last podcast on Friday, where it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have your dad there. Kind of have family where you can absolutely fight against each other, and it doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter where you guys are in terms of your wrestling careers or promoting or your storylines. If you guys, infiltrate each other's space, it's gonna sell. It's gonna make money. People want to see that match between, the dirty Dom, and you have the deadbeat father Rey Mysterio, the luchador, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Rey Mysterio. So people are gonna tune into that. So definitely something that I think that WWE kind of, adopted in terms of this Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio kind of promos. Jeff Jarrett and the Blue Blazer, and they were tag team champions. And ultimately, the death of Owen Hart impacted the world wrestling industry a lot more. You notice that when Shawn Michaels made his entrance, where he came down from the zip line from the ceiling, I guess Vince tried it a dozen times to try to make some, whenever there was going to be an incident or whenever there was going to be a certain promo or something that involved heavy machinery or stuff like that, Vince McMahon was always willing to kind of put himself on the line to kind of test it first. So that's something that obviously, they did have a settlement go outside the court where I think the widow of Owen Hart got, I think $18+ million, which they absolutely deserved. She used it to create the Owen Hart Foundation. Now you see AEW have the Owen Hart Tournament Cup. And Owen Hart, definitely one of the best wrestlers in the world. Love that they're still honoring his name to this day. Definitely 110%. Crazy. He fell 78. He's 78 feet. The TV, honestly, the TV viewers weren't able to see it. The incident, the camera went off the crowd, and who else but good old Jim Ross. Good old Jim Ross was able to kind of tell the crowd, keep them informed about what happened, and ultimately, at the end of it. And Jim Ross said this himself. This was the worst call that he's ever had to be on. And then you had Jerry King Lawler come up and he'd be like, "It's not good. It's not good." And Owen Hart tragically fell, blunt force trauma, internal bleeding, passed away. Passed away at the age of 34. So, like I said, love Owen Hart. Love the way that he had made such an impact and a legacy. In terms of WWE, he will be missed. No one will ever be able to do it like Owen Hart did. So, definitely, loved Owen Hart for that. Definitely wish the best for his family, you know. So, yeah, just not, we're totally running out of time. Absolutely out of time, actually. I have a couple minutes, but well, maybe we'll go overtime. I know Emran's show, the soccer podcast, is coming up, so I won't try to keep you guys too much. Just want to give you guys my power rankings. We'll end on a good note. We talked about our Memorial Monday, and last week we talked about Eddie Guerrero, and it was still, and now Owen Hart. I don't know how I'm keeping this together. So let's go on into our last and final break, and just stay with me. We'll talk real quick about our professional wrestling power rankings. So hey, don't go anywhere. All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Just going to reflect on what we talked about. We had our WWE Friday Night Smackdown review, our Monday Night Raw preview. We talked about WWE PLEs going back to Sundays during UFC Fight Night Saturdays. And we talked about our Memorial Monday. We talked about the late, great, the amazing, the man, the myth, the legend, the most honestly honored and respectable. Definitely one of the best King of the Ring Intercontinental Champions I've ever seen. Owen Hart, so WWF superstar overall. So definitely got to respect my man's. And let's go ahead and end it all. We have our Monday Night Wrestling power rankings. So like I said, we're going to do the men's today. We will focus on the women's mañana. So make sure you stay tuned with that. So yeah, let's go ahead and dig right on into it. So we have our first guy we're going to talk about. We have Jon Moxley. Love Jon Moxley. I have him at number 10. Definitely been making waves in terms of the independent wrestling circuit, and also New Japan and AEW. So love Jon Moxley. Definitely think he's going to be a huge top 10, a huge guy going more toward like where AEW kind of wants to be at the end of kind of because they kind of need him. They need Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley's an absolute beast. He's a badass. He's he's that wild thing. So definitely love Jon Moxley in terms of that. And right now, oh god, I hate it when this happens. This is my studio. It's kind of messing with me. So yeah, looks like I'm gonna have to, freestyle it, which kind of, is kind of a little better because we, running out of time. So let's wrap this up. So like I said, at number 10, I had Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley, definitely one of the best wrestlers in the industry right now. So, love Jon Moxley. Number 5, I have Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher has been absolute dynamite. The Ring of Honor television champion has been I think he has a lot of good things ahead of him. Definitely young talent. I kind of, see him as like a young, like Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, who's going to make it into that world championship title, run. It's just going to be interesting when, they decide to pull the trigger on that. So at number 8, I have Trick Williams. Trick Williams whooped that trick. Definitely making waves in the NXT. Definitely fought some, Ilya Dragunov. He fought, Carmelo Hayes. Now he's going to fight Noam Dar. The reason why I kind of have him a little low is because of his match with Noam Dar. I feel like Noam Dar is not much of a threat in terms of Trick Williams. He's kind of a smaller guy. And I'm not hating on small dudes because I'm a small guy. But I don't know. I just think there could be a bigger star kind of coming to NXT to kind of fight him. I want to see that. I want to see what they decide to do after this whole Noam Dar thing ends, because Noam Dar holding the NXT World Heavyweight Championship would kind of be a joke. But, like I said, not trying to throw shade. I'm just trying to look at it from a wrestler's perspective, the organizational perspective, and just like, come on, dude. Like, that would make no sense. So, all right, number 6, we have the broken Matt Hardy. Love that the moment that Matt Hardy signed a contract, he absolutely started making waves in the TNA. And the best thing about it was that he was able to, kind of, regroup his team, kind of hype him up to be able to fight and beat the champions on the greatest platform that TNA's ever seen. You have the greatest tag team match, an 8-man tag team match, an 8-on-8 tag team match that was absolutely berserk. And Matt Hardy was able to kind of, kind of gather the troops, round the troops, fight this war. Let's win, baby. Love Matt Hardy. Number 5, I have Logan Paul. Logan Paul, like I said, him and himself, he might not be the overall likable guy, but you got to respect him. He lured Cody Rhodes into this match thinking that Cody Rhodes had a chance of being a Grand Slam champion, because think about it, 2 weeks ago when they did have that promo where Cody Rhodes was like, you know what, but I've never had a chance of being a United States champion to win that prestigious Grand Slam, championship. And Cody, at that time, Logan Paul could have been like, nah, dog, this isn't for my championship, dude. You haven't done anything to earn a shot at my championship. And, he could have told him that. But ultimately, he got to the point where he could, because I think Cody Rhodes would have denied the challenge. Although he doesn't really deny challenges, but honestly, this kind of was able to kind of, bait and hook, bait and switch, whatever it's called. Cody Rhodes, he threw the contract in his face last Friday night Smackdown, just antagonized the crap out of him. So, I see Logan Paul at number 5. Number 4, we have Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland is single-handedly keeping AEW afloat. I honestly don't see Christian Cage dethroning Swerve Strickland, but I've been loving the promos. You see on Collision and on Dynamite. So, and he's been a great wrestler. He's been a great champion. Absolutely love Swerve Strickland, so I don't think he's going anywhere. Number 3, you have Jey Uso. Jey Uso's number 3 in my wrestling power rankings, solely because he's going to be the future of the World Wrestling Entertainment. Definitely building up. Like I said, I think that he's going to win the King of the Ring, ultimately getting Paul Heyman as his wise man, and Paul Heyman kind of starting from scratch about this whole bloodline, because the young bloodline is not worth it. It's going to be interesting to see how Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce kind of work a trade in terms of Paul Heyman, but if that happens differently, I'll hate it, but at the same time, I love it because I'm predicting it. And the reason why I love professional wrestling is because it's unpredictable. So, kind of like a double-edged sword there. Number 2, I got Cody Rhodes. Obviously, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, still on fire, still looking unbeatable. Definitely one of the best wrestling superstars that we had in this day and age. Love that he came back to WWE. He was great in AEW. Definitely one of the founding fathers. Would love to maybe have him go back to hit a promo, kind of opening up that forbidden door that WWE has always kind of been a part of. WWE has always been afraid of interacting with TNA Wrestling, Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling, and also the AEW. So it'd be interesting to see that. Number 1 on my wrestling power rankings, I have Damian Priest from the Judgment Day. Damian Priest, honestly, guys, he's the new face of Monday Night Raw, like it or love it. And like I said before, they're prepping him up to ultimately be kind of like the new baby face. Like you have Finn Balor right now. Like, you know, you kind of have them. I feel like they're kind of colluding behind Damian Priest. They got Carlito, JD McDonough, and Rey Mysterio are obviously very, very frustrated. Dominic Mysterio, sorry, are obviously very frustrated with the way Damian Priest wants to handle the Judgment Day. For them, they feel like Judgment Day is all about, you know, attacking and, you know, winning, you know, matches the cheap way, when Damian Priest doesn't want to be that type of champion. Although it's been, you know, given that the reason why Damian Priest still has his championship is because JD and, you know, Finn Balor. So ultimately, I feel like if they're willing, if they honestly want to have people perceive Damian Priest as a noble champion and as a babyface, I think it kind of needs to start happening now sooner than later. The moment that Damian Priest, like, you know, he embraced Carlito, he embraced Finn Balor, he's like, sorry guys. You know, honestly, I kind of didn't like that. I kind of thought ultimately, if you have Damian Priest trying to become a babyface, you want to, you know, he would have crashed into the dressing room, be like, hey man, what the hell are you guys doing? I had that, you know, this, that, and the other. And, you know, but then again, that could have been like, okay, this guy's delusional as crap. But, you know, ultimately I have Damian Priest at number 1 in my power rankings, because ever since Roman Reigns has left the WWE, you've seen Cody Rhodes on SmackDown, yes, but it was to the point where since Roman Reigns was such a dominant champion, you kind of saw him go back and forth on Monday Night Raw. So the moment the brand split happened, like officially again, it was kind of insecure about what was really going to happen on Monday Night Raw, because we all knew Cody was going to SmackDown. So it's been kind of cool to see Damian Priest try to cut these promos. He cut a pretty good promo against Drew McIntyre last week. So, you know, definitely interested to find out what's going to happen tonight in terms of, you know, Monday Night Raw. I'm going to watch it as soon as I get done with this. Like I said, I have not watched a single shred of content on the social media, Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, yada, yada, yada. Haven't turned it on my TV. I'm going to go in there blind, just like my fans, just like you guys are. So definitely looking forward to that. So, guys, that's the end of my show. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button. Always, always, always leave a positive review. Tell me how handsome I look. Just kidding. No, tell me how much you love the content. Tell me what you want me to talk about more in terms of wrestling. Maybe you want me to talk about the TNA a little more, the NWA, because the NWA is going to be hot. It's going to be hot. It's going to the, you know, the CW. It's, you know, NWA Power. It's going to be a great show. Can't wait to start watching that. And we also invite you guys to like us on and subscribe to Twitter/X, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Like I said before, if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, the NBA playoffs are heating up. We recently had my boy Nelson, the host of the GSMC basketball podcast, on Friday. So make sure you check out that, you know, segment. It was really good. It was cool. It was nice to kind of get a different perspective about a person that, you know, kind of like he knows about wrestling, you know. But it, you know, always awesome to kind of, you know, find out just what other fans are thinking about. That's what the Tips on Donations link are for, guys. That's what the GSMCpodcast.net chat, talk to me. Absolutely love hearing different perspectives, different opinions. So, yeah, we also have Kenneth on football. Football, although the NFL is in its off season right now, it's always ready to go. So make sure you tune into those shows. We have the Andrew Tate show as well. Hoops and Heels, your one-stop shop for all women's sports. So yeah, honestly, thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. Hope you guys had a great weekend. And like I said, I will see you tomorrow. So hey, have a good night.
I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to